I'm Maya, and today I'm going to teach you how to make an animal cell on Blender. As you may remember from 7th grade, life science includes an important chapter on cells. If you want to make a 3D animal cell from scratch for a science project, you can learn how to make one here on Blender. This is what your project will look like at the end of this tutorial. First, create a new project. You can do this by clicking on File, New, Reload Startup File. Now we can save it. Save it as animalcell.blend and click Save. Now we want to delete the cube that's on our surface. So just click on the cube, press X, and delete. Now we want to add a UV sphere to our surface. So click Add, Mesh, and now we can scale the object by pressing S on the keyboard. So now that is a good amount. Now we need to make the spheres transparent. So go to the orange cube located on the sidebar. Scroll down and you'll find a transparent box. So click on that and then just make the bar a little bit longer and go to the materials button. Once you've clicked on new, scroll down and you'll find transparency right there. Check the box. You don't have to change the alpha, specular, or Fresnel. Once you're done with that, scroll back up and go to the halo part. Now you can change the color of the halo by scrolling around and you'll see the color over there. Now that I'm done choosing my color, make sure that the options below are object mode and wireframe. So once I'm done with that, we can create the objects that go inside the cell. So go to Add, Mesh, and Torus, which is at the very bottom. So once you've made that, just scale it, make it a little bit smaller, and press R on the keyboard to rotate it. Then press X so that it will rotate on the X side. And then S on the keyboard, R on the keyboard, and Y on the keyboard. So it makes it straight at you. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. Remember that you'll have to keep editing these so that it can go inside the cell. Now I'm also going to add another object. So let's see, I'll add the cylinder. Instead, I'll make it much smaller and rotate it so that it goes on the y-axis, and there you go. I'm going to move it inside the cell. I'm also going to add a cone. Scale it again. There you go. Rotate. Y. And now I'm going to rotate it again just to make it a little bit straight. And then I'll move it inside the cell. Instead of having to do this all over again, just press Shift-D on the keyboard. It will create an exact duplicate of what you just duplicated. Continue to duplicate these materials. Now we can continue to duplicate other objects as well. So right-click to select and Shift-D. Again with the cylinder. Now we need to make the nucleus of the cell. So go to Add, Mesh, and the UV sphere again. And we need to make this smaller because it's nucleus. And then also add this into the cell. Now let's organize this a bit. So continue to move things around until they look a little bit more orderly. You can also move this circle. This may happen occasionally, so be sure to just click it back into place. Be sure to keep the nucleus in the middle. Now that we're done, make sure that everything is inside the cell. It may appear to be inside the cell, but in reality, it may not. That's the problem with 3D animation. As you can see, it appeared that everything was in the middle before, but if you go to a side view, it is not. So be sure to add everything back into the cell and look through all sides before you're done. Okay, now that I'm done with that, I'm going to switch over to the left side. As you can see again, it is not in the cell, though it may appear to be. And now again from the top, everything seems to be okay. And from the back, okay, I think we have everything in place. Now this is the front version. I have switched over to this side so it makes it easier to see. But as you can see, the objects inside the cell cannot be seen very well. So rotate it, use the y-axis trick, and the most important view is the camera view, because that's what you will be seeing when you render your image. So be sure to look through it in camera view and adjust it. When I look through it from the camera's view, you will need to move around some objects, so, or scale it a bit. I'm going to make this a bit smaller, the halo. Now adjust the objects inside the cell as well. You may need to scale some objects as well. Try to make the objects inside the cell look as though what an actual animal cell would look like. You can't adjust the camera view unless you adjust the camera itself. Okay, now you see our cell beginning to take shape. Work in Blender will take a lot of adjusting, so make sure that you do pay close attention to the objects inside the cell and the halo itself. So now I'm done adjusting the objects inside the cell. Now that we're done, we can now add colors to the objects inside the cell and the halo itself. You might want to spend more time making the color for the halo of the cell. So right click on that, go to the halo button, and go to this part of the side tab. Just go down and click on this. You can adjust the color. I'm going to make mine a little peachy colored to suit the cell. Now I'm going to add colors to the objects inside the cell. So all you have to do is go to the materials button on the sidebar, press new, go down, and press the color tab on diffuse. You can choose any color that you like. I'm going to choose a dark blue. Continue to add colors to the cells. New, diffuse, I'm going to make this red. This one green. Oh, you can also adjust the darkness. I'm going to keep mine light for the moment. And for the last one, now that we're done adding colors to the objects, we can now just see a quick sneak peek of what we'll see when we render the image completely. Of course, we're not done yet, and it will require some editing, so just click render. As you can see, I do need to edit some stuff on this, so press escape to get out of it, but be sure to make to keep your mouse around this area. If you keep it here and press escape, it will not work, so be sure to keep it on the screen and press escape. This one needs to move back, so to do that, just right click on this and use the green arrow. Now we can render the image again, see how everything looks. We may want to bring the objects out a little bit more so it'll be a little bit more clear. So press escape and again bring the objects a little bit forward. You can click the green, move the green arrow and then the red arrow to adjust it. Now that you're done adjusting it, render it again. Everything looks. I may need to edit this a bit more. Now that I'm done editing, I'll render it again. You'll need to keep rendering and editing. That's a big part of using Blender. You don't have to do it exactly like me, you can adjust whatever you like. And render again. Now you can see a bit of this is sticking out, so I have to move it back.